Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about one of the questions that I get asked thousands of times. I mean, it's been asked more times than I care to answer anymore, so I figured I'd make a video and just explain my answer to the common question, is it worth it to buy a 3D printer? The obvious answer is yes. Now, it might not be so obvious to people who actually haven't pulled the trigger yet, and hopefully this video maybe pushes you off the cliff and just sends you into the deep dark rabbit hole that is 3D printing and the community behind it. But in reality, 3D printing is not as scary as everyone thinks it is. Now, there are a couple things that you obviously have to think about before you buy one, and that's space. All right, space is a huge one. I have a whole room dedicated to it. Some people have an entire garage or an entire warehouse dedicated to it, or just a simple table in the closet, right? Space is one thing that always gets a lot of people. I see that one quite a bit. Another thing I see way too often is price. Everyone says 3D printing is super expensive. No, it's not. I could kind of see where people come from, right? A roll of filament can be 50 bucks. It could be 10 bucks. Of course, it depends on what you want to do, what you want to print. But most ABS, ASA, engineering type materials, nylon, carbon fiber, all that stuff, they get to be a little bit more expensive. ABS and ASA are pretty cheap in reality, and they have a pretty good use case. If you want to go into the very expensive, very niche filaments like nylon or carbon fiber or PET or anything like that, yeah, it can get expensive. But the reason it gets expensive is because typically you have to upgrade to those types of filaments. But in reality, most people like me don't print with those. I mean, granted, I print a ton of stuff for literally everything, and I usually don't have to go above PLA. So that means for the normal human being who is just printing in general, PLA and PETG are probably fine. If you wanted to go ABS or ASA, most printers can handle it nowadays. But the thing of cost seems to get a lot of people. They say, oh, the printer is, I don't know, $700, $800. Well, yeah, if you want like one of the top of the line ones, right? But there are printers down here. I started there. I started with Ender 3s, Ender 3 Pros. Actually, I would buy them used and broken from ComGrow, which you haven't checked ComGrow out, and you want to learn about 3D printers, and you don't want to spend a ton of money, go to ComGrow and buy a printer, wait 2 weeks, and you'll get some used, possibly broken, usually broken, 3D printer that you can mess around with and not have to worry too much. Usually you can find a used Ender 3 or an Ender 3 Pro nowadays for anywhere from like $30 to $70 used online. So getting into the hobby really doesn't cost that much. If you want to just go 3D printer and some filament, I mean, you could do it for under $100. Of course, then you get up to the P1S, and I'm looking at buying some Prusa's here shortly, and you know, you get into the $1,000 plus price range. But then again, I'm doing this for a different reason. I'm not doing it just because it's a hobby. I do it because it's a business. It's a hobby. I enjoy doing it, and I use it for so much stuff that I never even knew was possible. So if there's one thing I want to say to everybody out there that says 3D printing is too expensive, you should probably take a look at your other hobbies, because I fish a lot. My fishing pole was more than my first 3D printer by a lot. So just keep that in mind when you go to think about price. Space, obvious, you know, I said that in the first one. But the last thing that seems to deter a lot of people is, I hear a lot of one, I'll have to ask my wife, right? My wife persuaded me to get my first printer because she wanted a bunch of stuff. She just didn't want to learn how to do it. And of course, 3D printing does take some time. Every day, if I want to go send prints and everything, it's about an hour of my time, but I enjoy doing it, but it's a hobby, right? But if you don't have that time, Bamboo Lab and even Prusa Research have done a great job implementing their apps with their printers. And a lot of times, especially with Bamboo Lab, you can just print from your phone and it just takes no time at all as long as there's some filament in the printer. But I always hear, oh, let me talk to my wife, let me talk to my girlfriend, maybe I'll ask my husband, whatever it may be. That's just a sad excuse, if I'm going to be honest with you. Because my wife commissions more prints than anybody else, including me, and I own the printers, right? Well, I mean, they're me and my wife's, but realistically, they're going to use it more than you think they will. And I'm going to go around my house and I'll show you a lot of the things that I have 3D printed that I would have gone, are you serious? You want to print that? What's the point of that? But I'll also get to some other reasons that I really think anybody should own a 3D printer. Yeah, they're kind of dangerous. You have a massive heat source in a room. My printers keep this room pretty hot. Yeah, parts can be expensive if you buy the wrong printers. A lot of them could use maintenance, all that fun stuff. There are a lot of caveats to the 3D printing hobby, don't get me wrong. And if you're not mechanically inclined or electrically inclined whatsoever, it's a steeper learning curve for sure. And of course, you have to learn all the new technologies and stuff, right? Like the slicing software, where to find the files, all that fun stuff. But that comes extremely fast, especially in today's age. It happens within a couple minutes, at least within an hour. You can figure out how to do all that stuff, and then you just learn from there. But I'm going to take you around my house, and I'm going to show you some of the stupid stuff I've printed, some of the awesome stuff I've printed, the useful stuff I've printed, and then I'll show you the one terrible, terrible thing that ends up happening when it comes to 3D printing. I might just show you that first, which is my office. And this is usually what happens. I get too caught up in multiple different projects, too much filament everywhere, too many parts and pieces laying everywhere. My office is a total mess right now, and I just haven't had time to clean it. One of our dogs just got, I don't want to say diagnosed, because he injured himself and he has IVDD. So if you know what that is, it's basically a herniated disc in his spine, and he's paralyzed, and he just started walking again today. So it's been a rough road. But I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you all of the stuff in my house that I printed that I thought was totally stupid, that my wife absolutely loves. It ended up saving me hundreds of dollars. And there's some also really useful stuff that most people wouldn't even think about when it comes to 3D printing. I can't tell you how many things there are that you would never even consider 3D printing because you just never knew it existed. So if anybody's on the fence about 3D printing, before I go show you everything in my house to hopefully push you over the edge, go on to printables and literally Google anything that you can think of. Not Google, but go on, just search, okay? Just search. And I bet you'll be surprised at all the stupid stuff that's on there, and also all the awesome stuff that's on there. All right, so this is my office. This is probably the biggest caveat. I have boxes on the floor from filament, and over there from filament, and this is a desk where all the projects end up piecing together. My rack of filament is over there. That has literally all of my filament on it, and then some. I didn't even bother turning off the ring lights. Hopefully it's not terrible. That has parts and materials. These are some printers here. There's more printed stuff in there. There's a printer on the floor here. There's an actual printer there, which I forgot those existed for so long. But here's something that I just think people should know about. This is a 3D printed computer case. Now, the very first beginning of my channel, I uploaded videos or shorts of me putting this together. $30 for the files, and I was able to print my own case. They go bigger, they go smaller. They're pretty awesome. It's called a mod case. Highly recommend people check that out. The SCADAS wall isn't even set up yet. We moved and I just haven't done anything. This is an Astro headset hanger, or just a headset hanger in general. That's a controller hanger right there. These are just little storage boxes. These are washi tape holders, right? Things you wouldn't normally think of. That's a cable catch. But all this has to be ripped down and redone anyways. Look at that, there's a mouse. There's another one. Oh, there's another one right there, and then I have boxes for another one. I think I have a box for another one too. But in general, there's so many things you can 3D print. And over here, actually, my 3D printers print stuff for themselves, right? These are poop chutes. There's some back there as well. Now there's one caveat, that's a mess, and it tends to be that way all the time. But printers can print things for themselves, to upgrade themselves, or to make themselves nicer. This stops my PTFE tubes from rubbing on the glass. And there's a lot of things out in my living room that can also show you what I've printed. These are all storage drawers that this was my wife's desk, we moved and things have changed. This one's broken. Well, actually the sticky tape just came off, but I never would have guessed that you could 3D print something like this, because I guarantee you to find something and pay for something like this cost me, I think, roughly like $4 to print. And if you were to find something and buy that online, you'd probably be spending $20 to $40 minimum. And of course, it probably wouldn't fit inside the area. And I was able to scale this how I wanted it and then print it without any problems. If you don't know what that is, that's Catan, the board game. I actually finished that today, and those are extra pieces I had. This is a Polaroid Go case I designed out of nothing to help my wife with a closed door issue on the Polaroid Go. These are some decorations. Those are scapegoats. It's a Blastoise, right? So decorations are a big thing, but I'm going to take you out to my living room, and then I'll show you some other stuff out there that I think everybody should know about. So let's go out there. Well, I lied. I didn't even make it to the living room. So this is my wife's camera. This is her hobby. She likes instant photography. I tried to get her to start a YouTube channel. She just wouldn't do it. Maybe she'll see this and do it. But we designed and printed these so she could store all of her individual pictures for her cameras. These are dud boxes up there to store dud pictures that didn't work out. But these online were like 70 to, I think in order to buy enough for all the things she wanted, it was going to cost us close to $150 in organizers. This right here costed me this roll of filament, which was $12. And these ones are, I'm just going to say 24, let's say $36 in total for all of this. And, you know, it would have cost me probably $150, $200 in storage for stuff. So now I'm going to go out to the living room and show you more stuff. This is our board game pantry. Right there, that is Rummy Cube. This is Tetris and Tetris Balance. This is Battleship. That's Connect 4. I don't have any more board games, well, besides Catan. We're printing Monopoly soon, but there's just a small idea of what you could do. This is great party games. People love them all the time. But let's go show you the living room finally, I know, third time. Okay, now we made it to the living room. This is a design thingy my wife really wanted. Mandela Bear, something like that. That was huge. That took 4 printers. These down here, these decorations, right? If you wanted to find these online, you probably couldn't. You wouldn't have any idea how to find them or get them. This is a tissue box holder. This is to hold remotes, coasters. There's actually some drawers down here for this. We pick this up for the robot vacuum every night. But let's go show you some other stuff. This right here is probably one of my favorite things, useful things I've printed. It's this screw holder right here. Yep, it's a cable hold. No, I'm kidding. This is a wire wrap for all my extra Ethernet coming down to power my Starlink modem. Starlink's up on the roof. This is a special bracket that was 3D printed by some guy from Printables. I can't remember who it was. I'll try and link it down in the description for people. But this holds my router, and I'll print another one for the other router I'm putting in, and everything compact and perfect. And isn't that amazing? And of course, this decoration right here, I think from Hobby Lobby, was like $6. Those elephants up there were printed for $2. Just saying. That was also $5. So you got $10 here. 4 maybe? 2? I think it was $2 to print those. So, you know, saving money there. This is the game of Catan. We printed this entire thing, boxes, storage, everything, which means if you wanted to store anything with 3D printing, you could easily print something to do it. Up here on the table, this is my wife's puzzle table. These are our puzzle trays here. We use these to sort puzzle pieces. These are all printed. You can buy them for $10 at Walmart. We printed these and actually extras for like, I think they were 10 cents, 15 cents each. Of course, you get more cute decorations like this guy. And there's so many more options when it comes to 3D printing. And I'm gonna go back to the office and tell you all about the other things that you're missing besides just this normal stuff. And of course, my wife loves this thing. I do this way too much. But this is an entire diorama we made just for the living room when it's not Christmas time. Which means you guys can do the same thing when your wives ask you a bunch of questions, or husbands or boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever it may be. But let's go back to the office and I'll explain the last things I was talking about when it comes to 3D printing. And just like that, I'm back. Hopefully that wasn't too awkward. I don't really know how to walk around my house and record stuff, but I think it goes to show you that there are more possibilities than you're willing to admit when it comes to 3D printing. And sure, there weren't a ton of useful prints out there, if I'm being 100% honest with you, things that you couldn't just go buy at the store. Those puzzle trays, for instance, I could have bought them at the store for $10, but I knew they wouldn't quite do the job that my wife wanted, which was a little bit taller, a little bit smaller to fit equally in the box. I saved money there. But there are also a ton of prints that I have done in the past for other people that have fixed issues. For instance, things like fish hook removers or light switch covers, some unique attachments for different vacuums, hoses, saws, a lot of things like that that have to do with power tools, power tool storage. And there's really nothing that stops you in the world of 3D printing other than the fact that your imagination can tend to get in the way. I've had this happen a ton of times, especially if I'm trying to design something in 3D, and it takes a while for your brain to get over drawing something on a 2D surface and making it pop into a 3D figure. But in general, 3D printing can allow you to get to the area to start thinking about how to design your own products or even design your own fixes for things. So if there's one thing I want anybody to take away from this video is that 3D printing is for everybody. Everybody can do it, and I highly encourage everybody to at least learn a way to 3D print that benefits you. With that, I really don't have much else to say. Hopefully this was useful to some people, and if not, go ahead, let me know down in the comments below. Everybody's comment, negative or positive, boosts the video in one way or another. So I just want to say thank you once again. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If there's more things you want to see about 3D printing, let me know. I think I'm going to cover a bunch of different filament clips next. But if you guys have some video ideas that you'd like to see down in the description, or leave them down in the description, and I'll get back to you like I always do. But thank you, everybody. Peace out. Have a good night, or day, morning, whenever you decide to watch this. And I hope you pick up a 3D printer, because it really can change your perspective on all the stupid stuff you buy from the stores. All right, adios.